The coffee was cold by the time I noticed Marcus had moved out. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Not that he'd announced it. No dramatic farewell speech, no note on the kitchen counter, just empty hangers in the closet and a faint outline where his gaming console used to sit. 3 years together, and he'd left while I was on what he thought was another job interview. I stood in my apartment, still wearing the pencil skirt and blouse from my interview, and laughed. Actually laughed. The sound echoed off the exposed brick walls of the downtown loft, the one Marcus always told people we were lucky to afford on 2 incomes. If only he knew there was no we in the mortgage, just me. Just like everything else. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number, but I knew who it was before I even opened it. Sorry I couldn't say goodbye properly. You deserve better than me. I'm sure you'll find someone who fits your lifestyle. Take care. My lifestyle. Right. The one where I pretended to struggle at temp agencies while actually running a fashion empire from encrypted laptops and midnight conference calls. The one where I wore Zara to dinner dates while my actual wardrobe, the one locked in my private office downtown, held pieces that magazines begged to feature. I typed back, "Good luck with everything. Simple, clean." Because in 12 hours, he'd understand exactly what he'd walked away from. My second phone, the one Marcus had never known existed, lit up with a call. Diana's name flashed across the screen. "Tell me you saw it," my creative director said without preamble. "Saw what?" "Oh, you're going to love this. Check Sienna Blake's Instagram. Now." I pulled up the app on my personal phone, the one I used for normal people things, and navigated to Sienna's profile. 3 million followers, fashion blogger, influencer, and apparently, the reason my boyfriend had decided our apartment was too small for his ambitions. The latest post was from 4 hours ago, a photo of her in my bed, Marcus's arm visible at the edge of the frame. She was wearing one of our upcoming spring collection pieces, a cream silk blouse with hand-embroidered details that wouldn't hit stores for another 6 weeks. The caption read, "New beginnings with my love. Finally found someone who sees me for who I really am. P.S. This gorgeous piece is from Lunar & Thread's spring collection. Can't wait to show you more. Lunar & Thread. Spring fashion. New chapter." "She's in your bed," Diana said flatly. "Wearing our unreleased design, in your actual bed." I zoomed in on the photo. She'd tagged the location, my address. The apartment I'd bought 2 years ago when Lunar & Thread had secured that deal with every major department store in North America. "How did she even get that blouse?" I asked, though I already knew. "Marcus." Diana's voice dripped with venom. "Remember that package that went missing from your apartment 3 weeks ago? The one you thought got delivered to the wrong address?" The pieces clicked into place. The package had contained samples for my review, pieces even my board hadn't seen yet. And Marcus, sweet clueless Marcus who thought I was just really good at buying sale items, had handed them directly to his mistress. "Diana, call Roland. Tell him I want a full audit of every piece Sienna Blake has worn in the last 6 months. Every single item." "Already done," she replied. I could hear the smile in her voice. "You're going to want to sit down for this." I was already moving toward my hidden office, a converted walk-in closet that Marcus had never questioned because I'd told him it was just storage for my wannabe fashion dreams. Inside, I unlocked the false back panel and stepped into my real workspace. 3 monitors came to life, displaying everything from supply chain logistics to real-time sales data across 43 countries. Lunar & Thread, my company. Tea, from a single boutique in a dream, now valued at just over $2 billion. And nobody knew it was mine. Not the press, not the fashion industry gossip columns, not even most of my own employees. They knew the name Elena Volkov, the mysterious Russian-American CEO who only appeared via carefully staged video calls and never did interviews. What they didn't know was that Elena Volkov was just me with a wig, an accent, and very good lighting. "Sending you the file now," Diana said. My email pinged. I opened the encrypted document and started scrolling, photo after photo of Sienna Blake. Over the past year, each outfit meticulously cataloged. Lunar and thread blouse, unreleased sample. Lunar and thread trousers, prototype from designer meeting. Lunar and thread coat, one of 3 in existence. Lunar and thread handbag, personally commissioned piece I'd designed for myself. "That handbag," I said slowly. "That was in my bedroom closet. I've had that for 2 years. She's wearing it in a post from last month, tagged it as vintage designer find." The comments are full of people trying to figure out what brand it is. I leaned back in my chair, processing. Marcus had been stealing from me. Not just my heart, not just my time, but actual physical items worth tens of thousands of dollars each, giving them to his influencer girlfriend, who was then using them to build her own brand. And the best part? She had no idea she was advertising my company while betraying me. "There's more," Diana continued. "I had Jake in legal run her contracts. She's currently negotiating a major brand deal. Want to guess which brand? No. Yep. She's in talks to become an official Lunar and Thread ambassador. Her agent reached out 3 weeks ago. The board was actually considering it before I pulled the file." I started laughing again. I couldn't help it. The universe had just handed me the most poetic revenge scenario imaginable. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time. So if you are enjoying it, like this video, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. "Schedule an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning," I said. "Tell them Elena Volkov will be attending in person. First time ever. Make it mandatory." "Oh, this is going to be good. What's the play?" "I'm going to offer Sienna Blake exactly what she wants. A contract with Lunar and Thread. A beautiful, binding, ironclad contract." "And Marcus?" I pulled up his LinkedIn profile. VP of Sales at Hartley & Associates, a mid-tier marketing firm. They'd been courting Lunar and Thread's business for the past year, desperate to land us as a client. We'd been stringing them along, keeping them on the hook for exactly the right moment. Marcus's profile proudly displayed his achievements. Led campaign that secured meeting with Lunar and Thread's executive team. Pioneered relationship-building strategy with high-value clients. Currently managing Lunar and Thread acquisition project. Marcus is about to get the promotion of his dreams, I said, right before it becomes his worst nightmare. Diana was quiet for a moment. Then, "You know I love you, right? This is why I love you. I'll see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp. Conference room A, and Diana, wear something spectacular. We're making an entrance." After we hung up, I sat in the silence of my hidden office, surrounded by the evidence of everything I'd built. The girl, who'd started with a sewing machine and a dream, now commanding a fashion empire. The same girl who'd been so afraid of being used for her success that she'd hidden it from everyone, including the man she'd thought she loved. But Marcus had used me anyway, just in a different way. My main phone buzzed with another text, this time from Marcus's number. "I left some things at the apartment. I'll come by this weekend to pick them up if that's okay. I'd rather not make this awkward." I smiled, typing back quickly. "Actually, I won't be around this weekend, but I'll have everything boxed up for you. There's a charity gala Friday night at the Metropolitan Center. I'll leave your things with the coat check. You can pick them up there." A long pause. Then, "The Metropolitan Center? That's pretty fancy. How are you getting access?" "Oh, I know someone. Don't worry about it. See you there?" I can't afford a ticket to something like that. Consider it my parting gift. 2 tickets will be waiting under your name. Bring whoever you want." I could almost feel his confusion through the phone. Another pause. "That's really generous. Thank you. I'll be there." I know you will. The Metropolitan Center Gala was Lunar and Thread's annual charity event. Black tie, A-list celebrities, fashion industry elite. And this year's theme was Unmasking Fashion, revealing the faces behind the brands. How appropriate. I locked my office and walked back into the main apartment, seeing it with new eyes. The furniture Marcus had lounged on while I'd been building an empire. The kitchen where he'd eaten meals I'd paid for. The bedroom where he'd apparently been planning his exit while I'd been negotiating deals worth millions. My personal phone buzzed again. Sienna Blake had posted a new story. A video this time, panning across what was clearly my apartment. Her voice narrated, "Moving into this amazing space with my love. Can't believe we found such a perfect place in this market." She thought she was moving in. Into my apartment. The audacity was almost admirable. I screenshot the video and sent it to Diana with a simple message. Add this to the file. Her response was immediate. Oh, she's done. But I wasn't finished planning. Not yet. Because the gala was just the opening act. The real show would come afterward, when Marcus and Sienna realized exactly what they'd walked into. I pulled up my laptop, the regular one, and started drafting an email. Not as myself, but as Emma, my fictional assistant identity that I used for personal matters. Dear Mr. Chen, I am writing on behalf of my employer regarding the apartment at address. As you may be aware, the lease is under my employer's name exclusively. We understand you have vacated the premises, and we appreciate your cooperation. However, we have been made aware that unauthorized individuals may be attempting to occupy the space. Please be advised that only authorized occupants are permitted. Any violation of this policy will result in immediate legal action. We trust this matter can be resolved amicably. Best regards, Emma Stone, personal assistant. I didn't use Chen. I used his last name properly. Professional, distant, like I was already someone he'd never really known. Send. Then I pulled up the next email. This one, to Building Security. Hi Tom, this is the owner of Unit 4B. I wanted to give you a heads up that my ex-boyfriend may try to bring someone else into my apartment. Her name is Sienna Blake. Please do not grant access to anyone except myself. If they attempt entry, please contact the police. I'll be stopping by tomorrow to change the locks. Thank you for your help. Best, Emma. Emma was the name I used for everything outside of work. My personal checking account. My regular apartment lease, though the building was owned by one of my shell companies. My daily life identity, Elena Volkov, was my business persona. The untouchable CEO with a mysterious backstory. And the real me? I was still figuring out who she was supposed to be. My third phone, yes, I had 3, buzzed with a call from my lawyer, Richard. I heard from Diana, he said. She mentioned you might need some creative legal solutions. How creative are we talking? Let's just say I've been waiting years for you to finally let me do something fun. I'm tired of boring contract negotiations. Give me something with teeth. I outlined the situation, the stolen samples, the unauthorized use of pre-release designs, the intellectual property violations, the brand deal negotiations, and the gala ambush. Richard was quiet for a long moment. Then he started laughing. You're not just burning bridges, he said. You're napalming the entire landscape. Is that a legal term? It is now. Okay, here's what we do. First, we document everything. And I mean everything. Every post, every photo, every time she wore your designs. We build an intellectual property case that's absolutely bulletproof. Already done. Diana's been keeping files. Good. Second, we draft a contract for Sienna that's technically legal but filled with clauses that will destroy her if she violates them. Which she will, because people like her always do. I'm listening. Exclusivity clause. She can only wear Lunar and Thread, period, for 3 years. If she wears any competing brand, and I mean any, even fast fashion, she pays liquidated damages of $5 million per violation. That's harsh. Oh, I'm not finished. Social media clause. Every post must be pre-approved by Lunar and Thread's marketing team. She can't post anything without clearance. If she does, another million in damages. She'll never agree to that. She will when she sees the compensation. We'll offer her $1 million a year. Seems generous, right? Until she realizes the restrictions mean she can't actually do any other work. No other brand deals. No personal projects, nothing. I was starting to see where this was going. And Marcus? His company wants to represent Lunar and Thread. We give them the contract. But we make him the lead. Every meeting, every presentation, every campaign goes through him. And then, when the time is right, we pull the contract for breach of ethics. The theft of proprietary samples. Exactly. His career in marketing will be finished. No one will touch him after he loses a $1 billion client because he couldn't keep his hands out of the cookie jar. Richard, this is why I pay you the obscene amount of money that I do. I haven't even gotten to the best part yet. The gala. You're planning to reveal yourself as Elena Volkov, right? That's the plan. Not yet. Let them attend as guests. Let them mingle with the fashion elite, thinking they're finally making it into the big leagues. Then, at the end of the night, when everyone's gathered for the announcement of this year's charity beneficiary, that's when Elena Volkov makes her first public appearance. And Marcus and Sienna realize they've been sitting in the audience watching their own execution. We spent the next hour hammering out details. Every clause, every loophole, every potential escape route sealed shut. By the time we finished, I had a plan that was so perfectly constructed it was almost beautiful. Almost as beautiful as the look on their faces would be. After Richard hung up, I made myself tea. Real tea. The expensive kind I kept hidden because Marcus always complained it was a waste of money, and settled onto the couch. Their couch now, I supposed. Or maybe their couch for approximately 48 more hours. My phone lit up with a text from an unexpected source. Marcus's mother, Patricia. Sweetie, I just heard the news. I'm so sorry. Marcus can be such an idiot sometimes. You deserve so much better. If you need anything, please call me. You'll always be family to me. Patricia had always been kind to me. Too kind, really, for someone whose son was a conniving thief. But I appreciated the sentiment. Thank you, Patricia. That means a lot. I'm actually doing okay. Better than okay, actually. Take care. Her response came quickly. I'm glad. You always seemed too good for him anyway. Even his mother knew. That was somehow both gratifying and sad. I spent the rest of the evening going through files, preparing for tomorrow's board meeting. Lunar and Thread had 12 board members, all carefully selected for their expertise and discretion. They knew Elena Volkov only through video calls, each one carefully choreographed with specific lighting, accent work, and a wig that made me look severe and untouchable. Tomorrow they'd meet me. The real me. Or at least a version closer to reality. I'd already sent out the memo. Elena Volkov will be attending in person. This is not optional. Come prepared to discuss major personnel and contract decisions. The responses had been flooding in all day. Shock, excitement, speculation. In 12 years, no one had ever seen Elena Volkov in person. Some people whispered that she didn't exist, that she was just a collective identity used by a group of designers. Others thought she was disfigured or disabled and refused to appear publicly. The truth was simpler. I was terrified of being known. But tomorrow, that fear would have to take a back seat to revenge. I opened my laptop and started working on my presentation. Not as Elena, but as myself. The story of how I built Lunar and Thread from nothing, using every penny I'd saved from 3 jobs, every connection I'd carefully cultivated, every risk I'd been brave enough to take. The board deserved to know the truth. And after tomorrow, everyone else would too. Around midnight, I heard sounds from the hallway, voices, giggling, a key turning in a lock that no longer worked because I'd already had the locks changed. What the hell? Marcus's voice frustrated. The key isn't working. Did you give me the wrong one? Sienna's voice, sugary sweet even through the door. No, this is definitely the right key. I used it this morning. I walked to the door and opened it slowly, deliberately. They stood in the hallway, Marcus holding a suitcase and Sienna carrying what looked like a garment bag. Oh, Marcus said, genuine surprise on his face. I thought you'd be. I thought. You thought I'd be crying into a wine bottle somewhere? I kept my voice pleasant, conversational. No, I had the locks changed. Seemed like the prudent thing to do. Sienna looked me up and down, her expression a mix of pity and satisfaction. This was the first time I'd actually met her in person. She was shorter than I expected, with professionally highlighted hair and makeup that must have taken an hour to apply. She was also wearing my shoes. The Louboutins I'd bought myself last year. You changed the locks, Marcus sputtered. But I live here. No, you lived here. Past tense. You left, remember? I got your text. Sorry I couldn't say goodbye properly. Very touching. But I have things here. My stuff. We'll be waiting for you at the coat check Friday night. I already texted you about it. Sienna stepped forward, her voice taking on a patronizing tone. Look, I understand this is hard for you. Breakups are never easy. But Marcus and I are together now, and we need space to... Need space to what? Live in my apartment? I smiled at her. I don't think so. This is my place. My name on the deed. My mortgage payments. My everything. Marcus said this was his apartment. Sienna turned to him, confusion creeping into her voice. It's our apartment, Marcus said quickly. We bought it together. No, Marcus. I bought it. You moved in. There's a difference. I could see the wheels turning in Sienna's head, recalculating. She'd thought she was moving in with a successful guy who owned property downtown. Now she was realizing he'd been living off his girlfriend. Whatever, Marcus said, grabbing Sienna's hand. Come on, babe. Let's go to your place. We don't need this drama. Actually, Sienna said slowly, not moving. I have roommates. I thought we were moving in here. We'll figure it out. Let's just go. Wait. Sienna turned back to me, her eyes calculating. You're the girl who's been looking for work, right? Marcus told me about you. The one who keeps getting rejected from interviews? I nodded slowly. That's me. Look, no hard feelings, okay? Marcus and I we connect on a different level. He needs someone who understands his ambitions. Someone who's actually going places. Like you? I asked innocently. Exactly like me. I'm building a brand. 3 million followers. Major deals in the works. I'm about to sign with Lunar and Thread, actually. You know the fashion company? They're huge. I've heard of them. It's going to be incredible. My agent says it's the opportunity of a lifetime. And Marcus has been so supportive, helping me network, connect with the right people. She trailed off, smiling at him. That's wonderful, I said. I'm sure it'll work out exactly the way you deserve. Something in my tone must have registered because Marcus tugged at her hand again. Sienna, let's go. But she wasn't done. You know, if you're struggling to find work, I might be able to help. I know some people who are looking for assistance. Nothing fancy, but it's a start. That's very kind of you, I said. But I actually have something lined up. A new position. Starting Monday. Oh, where? It's with a fashion company. I'd rather not say more until it's official. You know how it is. Sure. Well, good luck with that. Her tone suggested she didn't believe me for a second. They left, Marcus's arm around her shoulders, whispering to each other as they walked to the elevator. I closed the door and locked it, the new lock that Marcus's key would never open again. Then I walked back to my office, pulled up Sienna's Instagram, and watched as she posted a new story, a video of her and Marcus in his car. Her voice narrating, "Little bump in the road tonight, but nothing we can't handle. When you know, char relationship goals, char new beginnings, char fashion life." The comments flooded in immediately. You two are so cute. Relationship goals for real. Can't wait to see what you're wearing tomorrow. I screenshot it all, sent it to Diana with a timestamp, and added it to the file. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I pulled out the old shoebox from the back of my closet, the one containing photos from when I first started Lunar and Thread. Me at 19, sitting at a sewing machine in my tiny studio apartment. Me at 23, opening my first boutique with a loan I'd taken against everything I owned. Me at 26, signing the lease on our first flagship store. Every photo showed a girl who was hungry, determined, and absolutely terrified of failing. Somewhere along the way, I'd lost her. Hidden her so deep beneath layers of protection and secrecy that I'd almost forgotten she existed. Tomorrow, I was going to let her out again. I set my alarm for 5 a.m. and climbed into bed, my bed in my apartment, finally free of someone who'd never deserved to be there in the first place. And for the first time in months, I slept peacefully. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages, all from various board members, all saying essentially the same thing. Is this real? Are you actually coming? I sent a group text. See you at 9. Be ready. Then I got dressed. Not as Elena Volkov. Not as the struggling temp worker I'd pretended to be for Marcus. As myself. A custom lunar and thread suit in midnight blue, perfectly tailored to my body because I'd designed it specifically for this moment. The prototype had been hanging in my office for 6 months, waiting. Hair down, natural waves. Minimal makeup, my own shoes, the ones Sienna hadn't managed to steal yet. I looked like myself. Successfully myself. And it felt terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. Diana met me in the parking garage of Lunar and Thread's headquarters, a sleek glass building in the heart of downtown that Marcus had driven past hundreds of times without ever knowing I owned it. You ready for this? She asked, looking me up and down approvingly. No. But I'm doing it anyway. That's my girl. Come on, they're all assembled. I've never seen the board members this nervous. We took the private elevator to the top floor, where the executive conference room overlooked the entire city. Through the glass walls, I could see 12 people seated around an enormous table, all dressed in their finest, all checking their phones and watches anxiously. Last chance to back out, Diana said. Not a chance. She opened the door, and 12 heads turned toward us. Ladies and gentlemen, Diana announced, allow me to introduce you to someone you've all been waiting to meet. This is Elena Volkov. But instead of gesturing to a mysterious figure behind her, she gestured to me. The room erupted in confused murmurs. I don't understand, said Gerald, the CFO. Who is this? I walked to the head of the table, placed my hands on the surface, and looked at each of them in turn. My real name is Emma Sterling, I said clearly. I founded this company 12 years ago. I've been Elena Volkov in every video call, every email, every decision we've made. And now I'm here, in person, because it's time for all of you to know the truth about who's been running Lunar and Thread. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Then Charlotte, the head of design, started laughing. Not mockingly, genuinely, joyfully. I knew it, she said. I told you all. Remember 6 months ago when I said Elena's design notes sounded exactly like the sketches we got from that mysterious consultant? It was you the whole time, I smiled. Guilty. But why? Gerald asked. Why hide? Why go through all this elaborate subterfuge? Because I was scared, I said simply. Because I built this company from nothing. And I was terrified that if people knew who I was, a young woman with no family connections, no fashion pedigree, no prestigious degree, they wouldn't take me seriously. So I created Elena Volkov, someone who seemed mysterious and powerful and untouchable. And it worked, Diana added. Nobody questioned her. Nobody underestimated her. But now it's time for that to end, I continued, because something's happened that requires me to step out of the shadows. And I need all of you to understand exactly what we're dealing with. I pulled up the presentation on the main screen. Photo after photo of Sienna Blake wearing Lunar and Thread designs. This woman, I said, has been systematically stealing unreleased samples from my personal collection for the past year. She's been wearing them, photographing them, and posting them to 3 million followers without authorization. How did she get access to unreleased samples? Asked Marcus Kim, the head of retail. No relation to my ex, unfortunately. Through my ex-boyfriend, who I've been living with for 3 years, who had access to my apartment and had no idea what he was really stealing. The board members exchanged glances. And here's the interesting part, I continued. Sienna Blake is currently in negotiations to become an official Lunar and Thread ambassador. Her agent approached us 3 weeks ago. Oh my God, Charlotte breathed. This is perfect. It gets better. My ex-boyfriend works for Hartley & Associates, the marketing firm that's been desperately trying to win our account. The pieces are all coming together, Diana said with a smile. So here's what we're going to do, I said, pulling up the next slide. We're going to give them everything they want. Sienna gets her contract with Lunar and Thread. Marcus's firm gets our account. And on Friday night at our annual gala, Elena Volkov makes her first public appearance and reveals herself as the CEO whose designs were stolen by her own boyfriend, Charlotte finished. This is brilliant. It's risky, Gerald warned. Going public like this. The press will have a field day. Let them, I said. I'm done hiding. And more importantly, I'm done letting people use me. We spent the next 2 hours going over every detail. The contract for Sienna, carefully crafted to be technically legal but practically impossible to fulfill. The deal with Hartley & Associates, structured to make Marcus the face of their biggest client. The gala, which would serve as both a charity event and the stage for the biggest reveal in fashion industry history. By the time we finished, every board member was on board. Some of them looked concerned about the fallout, but most looked excited. This was the kind of story that would cement Lunar and Thread's place in fashion history. One more thing, I said as the meeting was wrapping up. I want to personally handle all communications with Sienna Blake and Hartley & Associates from now on. No one mentions Emma Sterling. As far as they know, Elena Volkov is still a mysterious figure they've never met. Understood, Diana said. This is going to be the best gala we've ever had. After everyone filed out, I stood alone in the conference room, looking out over the city. Somewhere down there, Marcus was probably at his office, thinking he'd dodged a bullet by leaving me. Sienna was probably posting another carefully curated photo, thinking her big break was just around the corner. They had no idea what was coming. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Hi, Emma, this is Sienna. Marcus gave me your number. I wanted to apologize for last night. I know this situation is awkward. No hard feelings, okay? Maybe we can even be friends someday. The audacity was almost impressive. I typed back, no hard feelings at all. Good luck with everything. I mean it. Because I did mean it. Good luck surviving what was about to hit them. Diana poked her head back into the conference room. Richard just sent over the final contracts. Want to review them? Absolutely. We spent the afternoon going over every clause, every contingency, every possible way this could go wrong. By evening, we had documents so airtight that even the best lawyers in the country wouldn't be able to break them. Sienna's agent is scheduled to come in tomorrow, Diana said. We'll make the offer then. 3-year exclusive contract, $1 million per year, all the restrictions Richard outlined. She'll sign it, I said with certainty. People like her always do. They see the money and the prestige, and they don't read the fine print. And Hartley & Associates? Schedule a meeting for Thursday. Give Marcus 24 hours to prepare. Let him think he's finally made it, Diana grinned. You're terrifying when you want to be. Good. I've been too nice for too long. That evening, I went home to my quiet apartment and ordered takeout. Not the cheap kind I used to pretend to eat when Marcus was around. The expensive kind from that place downtown that I actually loved. I ate alone on my couch, wearing comfortable clothes, watching whatever I wanted on TV. It was perfect. My phone buzzed with another text. This time from Marcus. Hey, I know things are weird right now, but I wanted to thank you for being cool about Friday. Sienna's really excited. She thinks it'll be good for her brand to be seen at such a fancy event. I smiled, typing back. I'm sure it'll be an unforgettable night. For real though, how did you get tickets to this? The Lunar and Thread Gala is impossible to get into. I told you. I know someone. Must be a pretty good someone. These tickets go for like $10,000 each. Consider it my parting gift. You'll never forget it. You're being way too nice about this. I thought you'd be more upset. Why would I be upset? You're clearly happy. Sienna's clearly happy. Everyone wins, a long pause. Then, Yeah, I guess so. See you Friday. Can't wait. I set my phone down and pulled out my laptop. Time to finalize the gala program, the charity announcement, the special presentation, and most importantly, the grand finale where Elena Volkov would step into the spotlight for the first time. I'd spent 12 years hiding behind a persona. 12 years protecting myself from being used, from being hurt, from being seen as anything other than what I'd built. But Marcus and Sienna had done something I'd never imagined possible. They'd stolen from me while I was hiding. They'd used me without ever knowing my value, and in doing so, they'd freed me from my fear. Because the worst had already happened, and I'd survived it. More than survived, I'd planned, strategized, and built a trap so perfect that they'd walk right into it with smiles on their faces. Friday couldn't come fast enough. Thursday morning arrived with the weight of anticipation. I stood in front of my mirror, adjusting the collar of my tailored blazer, another Lunar and Thread original that Marcus had never seen me wear. Today was the day Sienna Blake would sign her contract. Today was the day Marcus would meet with Elena Volkov's representatives to finalize the Hartley and Associates deal. Neither of them knew they were signing their own death. Warrants, Diana called at 8 sharp. Sienna's agent just confirmed. They'll be here at 10. She's bringing Sienna with her. Perfect. Is everything ready? Conference room B is set up. I've got the contracts printed. Richard's standing by, and the whole executive team knows to stay clear of that floor. We don't want anyone accidentally spoiling the surprise. Good. What about Marcus? His meeting is at 2. Different floor, different conference room. They won't cross paths. Excellent work. I arrived at Lunar and Thread headquarters at 9:30, taking the private elevator directly to the executive floor. The building hummed with its usual energy. Designers sketching, marketers strategizing, seamstresses working on next season's collection. My empire, built stitch by stitch, and they had no idea their CEO was walking among them. Diana met me outside conference room B, tablet in hand. Ready? Let's do this. At exactly 10 o'clock, the receptionist called up. Ms. Chen, Sienna Blake and her agent are here. I smiled at the irony of the name she'd used. Send them up. Through the glass walls, I watched them exit the elevator. Sienna wore one of my designs, a dress from last season that she'd probably bought retail, thankfully, not stolen. Her agent, a sharp-looking woman in her 50s named Carol, carried a leather portfolio. They were both smiling, confident, ready to sign the deal of a lifetime. Diana greeted them warmly. Welcome to Lunar and Thread. I'm Diana Chen, Creative Director. Please, come in. I stood at the head of the table as they entered, and Sienna's eyes widened slightly when she saw me. You? She said, confusion flickering across her face. Hello, Sienna. Nice to see you again. I don't understand. What are you doing here? Diana gestured to the chairs. Please, sit down. Let me explain. This is Emma Sterling, Senior Vice President of Brand Development for Lunar and Thread. I watched Sienna's face cycle through several emotions: shock, confusion, and then something that might have been embarrassment. Carol, however, remained professional. A pleasure to meet you officially, Ms. Sterling, Carol said, shaking my hand. I had no idea you were with Lunar and Thread. I prefer to keep a low profile, I said smoothly. Shall we discuss the contract? We sat, and Diana slid copies of the agreement across the table. I watched Sienna's eyes scan the first page, saw the moment she registered the compensation figure. $1 million per year? She breathed. For 3 years? That's correct, I said. Lunar and Thread is prepared to make a significant investment in you as our exclusive ambassador. Exclusive? Carol asked, her lawyer instincts kicking in. Yes, the terms are quite specific. Sienna would represent Lunar and Thread exclusively for the duration of the contract. No competing brands, no unauthorized partnerships. Everything would go through our marketing team for approval. Carol started reading more carefully, her finger tracing down the pages. I could see the moment she hit the first major restriction. This clause here, she said. It says Sienna can't wear any other fashion brands during the contract period. At all, even in her personal life? That's standard for an exclusive ambassador contract, Diana said. We need to ensure brand consistency, but this is extremely restrictive. She can't wear jeans from another brand? Workout clothes? Casual wear? Lunar & Thread has a full range of products, I said. We'll provide everything she needs. It's all included in the compensation package. Sienna was still staring at the dollar amount, barely listening to the restrictions. $3 million over 3 years, she whispered. That's life-changing money. It is, I agreed. But it comes with responsibilities. Every social media post must be pre-approved by our team. Every public appearance must be coordinated with our marketing department. You would essentially become the face of Lunar & Thread. I understand, Sienna said quickly. Too quickly, Carol held up a hand. Sienna, we need to review this more carefully. These liquidated damages clauses, if you violate any of these terms, you'd owe the company $5 million per incident. But I won't violate them, Sienna said. I'll do exactly what they ask. This is my dream opportunity. I leaned forward slightly. There's one more thing you should know. Lunar & Thread takes intellectual property very seriously. Very seriously. If we ever discovered that someone had been using our designs without authorization, especially unreleased designs, we would pursue legal action to the fullest extent of the law. Something flickered in Sienna's eyes. Fear, maybe. Guilt, definitely. Of course, she said. That makes total sense. Good. Because we recently discovered that several of our prototype pieces went missing. Pieces that never made it to market. We're currently conducting an internal investigation. The color drained from Sienna's face. Carol noticed, glancing at her client with new suspicion. Is there something we should know? Carol asked Sienna directly. No, Sienna said too quickly. Nothing. I want to make sure I understand all the terms. I smiled, letting her squirm. Take your time. This is a big decision. Why don't we give you two some privacy to discuss? Diana and I stepped out of the conference room. Through the glass, we watched Carol lean in close to Sienna, speaking urgently. Sienna shook her head repeatedly, her hands gesturing defensively. She's panicking, Diana observed. Good. Let her panic a little. Then we'll go back in and she'll sign anyway because she can't resist the money and the prestige. What if she doesn't sign? Then we file criminal charges for theft of intellectual property. Either way, she loses. After 15 minutes, Carol opened the door. We'd like to negotiate some of the terms. I'm afraid the terms are non-negotiable, I said pleasantly. This is our standard exclusive ambassador contract. Take it or leave it. Carol looked at Sienna, who nodded almost imperceptibly. We'll need until tomorrow to make a final decision, Carol said. I understand. But I should mention, we're also considering 2 other influencers for this position. If you decline, the offer goes to one of them. This is a time-sensitive opportunity. Sienna's eyes went wide. Wait, can we have a few more minutes? Of course. This time, when they huddled together, the conversation was even more intense. I could see Sienna pleading, Carol shaking her head, both of them gesturing at the contract. Finally, they emerged again. She'll sign, Carol said, resignation in her voice. But I'm advising my client that this contract is extremely restrictive and that she should consult with an attorney before— I don't need another attorney, Sienna interrupted. I want to sign. Now. I slid the signature pages across the table, watched as Sienna picked up the pen, hesitated for just a moment, then signed her name in flowing script. Congratulations, I said, shaking her hand. Welcome to the Lunar & Thread family. Thank you, she said, and I could hear the excitement warring with anxiety in her voice. When do we start? Immediately. Diana will be your point of contact for all marketing initiatives. She'll reach out early next week with your first assignment. In the meantime, we'll need you to attend our gala tomorrow night. As our newest ambassador, you should be there. The gala? Sienna's face lit up. I'll be there. Actually, my boyfriend and I already have tickets. Ah, yes, Marcus, I said casually. How is he? Still working at Hartley & Associates? Yes. He's actually— She stopped, confusion crossing her face. Wait, how did you know his name? Lucky guess. Common name. Diana, why don't you escort Sienna and Carol out? I have another meeting to prepare for. After they left, I stood alone in the conference room, looking down at the signed contract. 3 years of Sienna Blake's life, bound to my company by her own greed and Carol's warning voice that she'd ignored. One down. One to go. At 2 o'clock sharp, Marcus arrived with his team from Hartley & Associates. 3 people, Marcus, his boss Robert, and a junior associate named Kevin. They were all wearing expensive suits, carrying leather portfolios, radiating the desperate confidence of salespeople who thought they were about to land the biggest client of their careers. I watched them from the observation room as Diana greeted them in Conference Room A. She'd arranged for Elena Volkov's executive team to conduct the meeting. Senior vice presidents who actually did exist and who knew exactly what to do. Gentlemen, Diana said, thank you for coming. I'm Diana Chen, and these are my colleagues from various departments. We're here on behalf of Elena Volkov to discuss Lunar and Thread's marketing strategy. Marcus was practically vibrating with excitement. I could see it even through the glass, the way he leaned forward, the eager nodding, the constant note-taking. We're thrilled to be here, Robert said. Marcus has worked incredibly hard to make this meeting happen. He's been researching Lunar and Thread for months, has he? Diana asked, a smile playing at her lips. Tell me, Marcus, what interests you most about our brand? Through the speakers, I heard Marcus launch into a clearly rehearsed speech about brand identity and market positioning. He sounded confident, knowledgeable. He'd done his homework. If only he'd done his homework on who he was living with. The meeting continued for an hour. Hartley & Associates presented their pitch, a comprehensive marketing campaign that would cost Lunar and Thread approximately $5 million over 18 months. It was actually a decent proposal, well-researched and creative. Too bad it would never happen. This is impressive work, Diana said finally. We'd like to move forward with Hartley & Associates as our marketing partner. I watched Marcus's face light up like he'd won the lottery. Robert clapped him on the shoulder. Kevin pumped his fist under the table. However, Diana continued, there is one condition. Marcus, we'd like you to be the lead on this account. All communications, all strategy sessions, all deliverables would go through you directly. Absolutely, Marcus said immediately. I'd be honored. Excellent. We'll have contracts drawn up by tomorrow. We'd like to make the announcement at our gala tomorrow night, a public declaration of our new partnership. Can you both attend? We'll be there, Robert said. Though I have to ask, will we finally meet the mysterious Elena Volkov? Diana's smile was enigmatic. All I can say is that tomorrow night will be full of surprises. Plan to be amazed. After they left, Diana came to the observation room where I'd been watching. They have no idea what's coming, she said. None at all. Did you see Marcus's face? He thinks he's finally made it. What he's made is the biggest mistake of his career. I pulled out my phone and texted Marcus from my personal number. Hey, congratulations. I heard through the grapevine that your company landed a huge client. You must be thrilled. His response came quickly. How did you hear about that already? It just happened. I told you I know someone in the fashion industry. Word travels fast. I'm happy for you. Thanks. This is going to change everything for me. For us. I mean, for me and Sienna. I'm sure it will change everything. See you tomorrow night. Can't wait. Sienna's been talking about it nonstop. Apparently she just signed some huge deal too. Really? What kind of deal? Some fashion brand ambassador thing. She's over the moon about it. Lunar and Thread? Yeah, how did you know? Lucky guess. It's the only fashion company with a gala tomorrow night? Oh, right. Weird coincidence that we're both connected to the same company now? Very weird. Or maybe it's fate. Maybe. Hey, I've been meaning to ask, are you doing okay? With everything? I stared at that message for a long moment. Was I okay? I was better than okay. I was about to execute the most satisfying revenge plot of my life. But he didn't need to know that. I'm great. Best I've been in years, actually. Thanks for asking. Good, I'm glad. I really do want you to be happy. Don't worry, Marcus. I will be. Very soon. Friday arrived with crystalline clarity. I woke up at dawn, went for a run, ate breakfast slowly, and spent the morning preparing. Not just my appearance, but my mind. Tonight, I would step out of the shadows. Tonight, Elena Volkov would become real. Tonight, Emma Sterling would reclaim everything they'd taken from her. Not just the stolen designs, not just the betrayed trust, but her own identity. At noon, Diana called. Everything's ready. The press is lined up. The board is in position. The contracts are executed. All that's left is for you to show up and reveal yourself. How do I look? I did a slow turn in front of my full-length mirror, showing her via video call the midnight blue gown I'd designed specifically for this moment. It was a masterpiece, elegant, powerful, unmistakably lunar and thread. Like a CEO who's about to destroy her enemies while looking fabulous, Diana said. Perfect. Good, because I'm terrified. That's how you know it matters. Come on. Cars waiting downstairs. The Metropolitan Center was transformed when I arrived. Red carpet, photographers, security everywhere. The entrance was flanked by enormous banners displaying the Lunar and Thread logo and this year's theme. Unmasking fashion, revealing the faces behind the brands. If they only knew how literal that theme would become. I entered through the private entrance, avoiding the red carpet for now. Inside, the main ballroom had been decorated in Lunar and Thread's signature aesthetic, minimalist elegance with strategic pops of color. 500 guests mingled, champagne flowed, and a string quartet played softly in the background. From my position in the mezzanine level, I could see everything. The fashion industry elite in their finest, celebrities I'd dressed for red carpets, executives from competing brands who'd been trying to discover Elena Volkov's true identity for years, and there, near the bar, Marcus and Sienna. She wore a Lunar and Thread gown, one we'd provided her per her contract. It fit perfectly because I'd personally ensured the sizing. Marcus wore a rented tuxedo that was slightly too large in the shoulders. They looked happy, comfortable, like they belonged here. They had no idea they were lambs at their own slaughter. 5 minutes, Diana said in my earpiece. Everyone's in position. I watched as they worked the room. Sienna posed for photos. Marcus networked with his colleagues from Hartley and Associates. I saw Robert introducing Marcus to potential clients, both of them beaming with the confidence of men who thought they'd secured their future. Then the lights dimmed, and a spotlight hit the stage. Diana stepped up to the microphone, radiant in an emerald gown. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 12th annual Lunar and Thread Charity Gala. Tonight, we gather not just to celebrate fashion, but to support the artisan education programs that help young designers find their voice. Applause rippled through the crowd. As many of you know, Diana continued, Lunar and Thread has always been shrouded in a bit of mystery. Our founder and CEO, Elena Volkov, has remained an enigma for 12 years. Tonight, that changes. The room erupted in excited murmurs. I could see people pulling out their phones, ready to capture this moment. Before we introduce her, I want to share a story. 12 years ago, a young woman with nothing but a sewing machine and a dream started creating clothes in her tiny apartment. She had no connections, no family wealth, no prestigious education. Just talent, determination, and an absolute refusal to give up. I moved toward the stage entrance, my heart pounding. She built this company from the ground up, piece by piece, stitch by stitch. And she did it while hiding her identity because she was afraid of being judged, afraid of being used, afraid of being seen as anything less than what she'd built. Down in the crowd, I saw Marcus leaning toward Sienna, whispering something. They had no idea this story was about to become very personal. But recently, Diana said, her voice taking on an edge, someone betrayed her trust. Someone stole from her. Multiple someones, actually. And tonight, she's decided that hiding is no longer an option. The murmurs grew louder, confused, excited, nervous. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the founder and CEO of Lunar and Thread, not Elena Volkov, but Emma Sterling. I stepped into the spotlight. The room went silent. Then chaos. Cameras flashed like lightning. People gasped. And at the bar, Marcus dropped his champagne glass. I watched it happen in slow motion, the glass slipping from his fingers, shattering on the marble floor, champagne splashing across his rented shoes. His face went white. Sienna grabbed his arm, her own face a mask of confusion and dawning horror. "Hello, everyone," I said into the microphone, my voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. "As Diana said, my name is Emma Sterling. For 12 years, I've been the woman behind the curtain. Tonight, I'm stepping into the light." I paused, looking directly at Marcus and Sienna. They were frozen, trapped in the crowd, unable to escape without drawing even more attention. I built Lunar and Thread because I believed in creating something beautiful, something meaningful, but I hid my identity because I was afraid of being used for what I'd built rather than being valued for who I am. My eyes locked with Marcus's across the room. I saw recognition, shame, and fear warring on his face. And as it turns out, I was right to be afraid. Because even when people didn't know what I'd built, they still found ways to use me, to take from me, to steal what I'd created and claim it as their own. Sienna's hand flew to her mouth. She knew. She finally understood. "Earlier this week," I continued, "we announced 2 major partnerships, a brand ambassador contract with influencer Sienna Blake and a marketing partnership with Hartley & Associates, led by their VP Marcus Chen." The room's attention swiveled to them. Photographers turned their cameras. People started whispering, pointing. What many of you don't know is that both of these individuals have been stealing from Lunar and Thread for months. Sienna has been wearing and photographing unreleased designs without authorization. Marcus has been providing her with stolen samples from my personal collection. The whispers became a roar. Marcus tried to pull Sienna toward the exit, but my security guards, blocked their path. "Now, some of you might wonder why I gave them contracts knowing this," I said, and I allowed myself to smile. "Simple. Because the contracts they signed are going to destroy them more effectively than any lawsuit ever could." I nodded to the screens behind me, which lit up with images. Every photo of Sienna wearing stolen designs, time-stamped and documented. Text messages between Marcus and Sienna discussing the samples. Bank records showing the profit they'd made from sponsored posts featuring my stolen designs. "Sienna," I said, addressing her directly, "your contract requires exclusive loyalty to Lunar and Thread. Every violation costs $5 million. Based on our documentation, you're already in breach of contract. You wore competing brands in 17 posts just this week. That's $85 million in liquidated damages." Sienna's legs gave out. She sank to her knees right there in the middle of the ballroom, Carol rushing to her side. "And Marcus," I continued, turning my attention to him, "your firm's contract has a clause about ethical conduct. Specifically, that no one associated with Hartley & Associates can have engaged in theft or corporate espionage against Lunar and Thread. You signed that clause yourself. The contract is void as of tonight, and your firm will be billed for all preliminary work we've paid for, approximately $700,000. Robert?" Marcus's boss stared at him with an expression of pure fury. I could see him mouthing the words, "You're fired." "But here's the thing," I said, and my voice softened slightly. "I'm not doing this just for revenge. I'm doing this because I spent 12 years hiding who I am, and in that time, I lost myself. I forgot that the reason I built this company wasn't to hide. It was to create, to empower, to show that someone from nowhere could build something extraordinary." The room was dead silent now. Every eye on me, so tonight I'm reclaiming my identity. I'm reclaiming my company. And I'm reclaiming my life. No more hiding. No more fear. And no more letting people steal from me, whether they're stealing my designs or stealing my dignity. I paused, looking out over the crowd. "As for the legal consequences, my lawyers will be in touch with both of you Monday morning. Until then, security will escort you out. You're no longer welcome at any Lunar and Thread event." Security moved in. Marcus tried to protest, tried to explain, but the guards were firm. They were escorted toward the exit as 500 people watched in stunned silence. At the door, Marcus turned back one last time. Our eyes met across the ballroom, and I saw everything in that moment. his regret, his shame, his understanding that he'd destroyed himself. I turned away first. Diana took the microphone again. Ladies and gentlemen, let's redirect this evening to its true purpose, supporting young artists and designers. Emma Sterling has pledged to match all donations tonight, dollar for dollar, up to $5 million. The crowd erupted in applause. The attention shifted away from the drama and back to the charity. People approached me with congratulations, with business cards, with opportunities. I spent the rest of the evening as myself. Fully, completely myself. Emma Sterling, CEO of Lunar and Thread, no longer hiding behind a persona or a fake identity. It was terrifying. It was liberating. It was exactly what I needed. 3 weeks later, I sat in my office, not my hidden office, but my real office with my name on the door, reviewing the aftermath. Sienna Blake had filed for bankruptcy. The liquidated damages from her contract violations, combined with the legal fees from fighting the intellectual property theft charges, had destroyed her financially. Her Instagram following had dropped to 500,000 after the scandal. Several brands had dropped her from existing contracts. Carol, her agent, had dropped her as a client. Marcus had been fired from Hartley & Associates. Robert had been so furious about losing the Lunar and Thread account that he'd not only fired Marcus, but had also sued him personally for the losses. Marcus was currently working at a small startup marketing firm, making a fraction of his previous salary. They'd tried to sell their story to tabloids, claiming I'd set them up, that I was vindictive and cruel. But the evidence was too clear, too damning. Even the most sensational magazines wouldn't touch it. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Emma, it's Patricia. I just wanted you to know how proud I am of you. I always knew you were special, even if my idiot son couldn't see it. You deserved so much better than what he gave you. I'm sorry for what he did. You're amazing. Patricia, I smiled, typing back. Thank you, Patricia. That means more than you know. Diana knocked on my open door. You have a visitor. Says she knows you. Who? Sienna Blake. I raised an eyebrow. Let her in. Sienna entered my office looking nothing like the polished influencer I'd met weeks ago. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail. Wearing jeans and a hoodie, not designer brands, just regular clothes. I know you don't want to see me, she said immediately. And I know I don't deserve your time, but I needed to say something. I'm listening. She took a shaky breath. You were right about everything. About me being greedy. About me not reading the contract. About me stealing from you. I knew those samples weren't supposed to be shared. Marcus told me they were industry connections, and I didn't ask questions because I didn't want to know the answer. That's not an excuse. I know. I'm not making excuses. I'm sorry. I destroyed my career. I destroyed Marcus's career, and I did it all because I wanted fame and money more than I wanted to be a decent person. I studied her for a moment. She looked genuinely broken, genuinely remorseful. What do you want from me, Sienna? Nothing. I don't want anything. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. What I did was theft. What Marcus did was betrayal. And what we both did was unforgivable. So why are you here? Because you deserved an apology. A real one. Not the kind where I'm hoping you'll drop the lawsuit. I know you won't. I wouldn't either if I were you. But you deserve to hear someone say I'm sorry and actually mean it. I leaned back in my chair. This wasn't what I'd expected. I accept your apology, I said finally. But that doesn't change the consequences. I know. I'm not asking it to. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. For what it's worth, you're incredibly talented. Lunar and Thread is beautiful. I wish I'd appreciated that instead of just using it. After she left, I sat alone in my office thinking. Revenge had been satisfying. Watching them fall had been gratifying. But this moment, this genuine apology, was something different. Something that felt like closure. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Marcus. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. You deserved so much better. I hope you find happiness. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me wanted to send back something cutting. Instead, I typed, I already found happiness. It was here the whole time. I just had to stop hiding to see it. I didn't wait for a response. I blocked his number and deleted the conversation. Diana appeared in my doorway again. Ready for the board meeting? They want to discuss the fall collection. Ready. I stood, straightened my jacket, Lunar and Thread, of course, and walked out of my office. No more hidden rooms, no more secret identities, no more fear, just Emma Sterling, CEO, designer, and finally, completely, authentically herself. As I walked through the halls of my company, employees nodded and smiled. Some stopped to ask questions about designs. Others wanted to discuss strategy. A few just wanted to say they were inspired by my story. I'd spent 12 years building walls to protect myself. It turned out, all I'd really needed was the courage to tear them down. In the elevator down to the design floor, I caught my reflection in the mirrored walls. For the first time in years, I recognized the person looking back at me. She was strong. She was successful. She was scarred but unbroken. She was exactly who she was meant to be, and she was free. Epilogue. 6 months later. The New York Times fashion section featured a full-page article with my photo on the cover. Emma Sterling, the CEO who hid in plain sight. The article chronicled my journey from scared young designer to successful CEO, including the dramatic reveal at the gala. But what made me smile was the final paragraph. When asked if she regrets hiding her identity for so long, Sterling pauses thoughtfully. I regret being afraid, she says. But I don't regret the journey. Sometimes we have to lose ourselves to find out who we really are. And sometimes, the people who hurt us end up giving us the greatest gift, the courage to finally be seen. Lunar and Thread stock had reached an all-time high. Our fall collection was sold out within hours of launching. And Elena Volkov? She'd been quietly retired, her mysterious persona no longer needed. I was enough just as I was. As for Marcus and Sienna, I heard they'd split up weeks after the gala. Last I checked, Marcus was working his way back up in the marketing world, being far more careful about ethics this time. Sienna had pivoted to lifestyle coaching, teaching people about authenticity and mistakes. At least she'd learned something. I'd moved on. Found peace. Built something even bigger than before. And every morning, when I walked into Lunar and Thread headquarters with my name on my office door, I felt something I'd never felt while hiding behind Elena Volkov. I felt proud. Not just of what I'd built, but of who I'd become. The woman who'd been afraid to be seen had stepped into the light, and she was never going back into the shadows again. The end up next. You've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.